Lascan Corla. Lascan Corla, I support this bill being debated here tonight, which attempts to introduce a quota for Irish music, and I think it's disappointing that the government aren't supporting it and that it's not been supported in the House here. This bill seeks by making it a condition for the awarding of all sound and broadcasting contracts to include at least 45% of the allocated time to music content and programmes for music that relates to some distinguished element of the culture of the island of Ireland. Radio maintains a consistent presence in our society. Today, 86% of all adults listen to radio on the average weekday in Ireland. That's nearly 3 million people a day. While TV and print media ratings are falling and ahead of increased online broadcasting trends, maintaining a music quota for radio will have the greatest impact in exposing the listening population to music content that relates to a cultural aspect of Ireland. In saying that, I don't think we need to restrict quotas only to music that has a cultural element. It could be read in this bill to assume that only music that is deemed culturally relevant to the island of Ireland could be played. But what about Irish singers who might write and produce an original pop song here in Ireland? Or indeed an African national who has come to live here, who produces an original music here, who could have difficulty getting airtime? I think that needs to be upheld as well. Upholding a quota for culturally specific Irish music may not do anything to develop and grow the music industry in itself, so I would suggest that if this bill was to progress, that alongside any quota system being introduced, a strategy to develop a homegrown music industry and encourage it to grow should also be introduced. I understand that this year the Taoiseach launched the Creative Ireland as the government's legacy programme for Ireland 2016, a 5-year all-of-government initiative from 2017 to 22, which aims to improve access to cultural and creative activity in every county across the country. While this is welcome, little is contained in the programme to enhance prospects for the music industry, which means we are still without a fully functioning music strategy. According to the Irish Music Rights Organisation, which deals with licensing rights for Irish musicians, Ireland's music industry supports 11,500 jobs nationwide and is worth close to €500 million annually to the economy. Clearly, there is potential to develop this further. Like many other industries, the music sector has been impacted in recent years, both from austerity cuts and from technological advances as people increasingly download free music. But more than that, it's also the fact that this government lacks a clear and coherent strategy to support the sector. During the economic recovery process, as we have seen, seek to create more employment, increase tourism and develop sustainable sectors in this country, now is the time to develop a real plan for Irish music, involving all stakeholders, government, industry representatives, musicians and songwriters themselves, amongst others. This is crucial if we are to optimise the economic and social return of the music sector, and I think this should coincide with any quota system that could be introduced. I also want to dispute the age-old notion that we can't possibly introduce a quota system as it may contravene EU competition law. In actual fact, Niall Stokes, former chair of the Irish Broadcasting Authority, had previously sought a music quota for Ireland back in the 1990s, which the EU had sanctioned, and France in 1994 secured a 40% quota for songs played in French. While this law primarily dealt with preserving the spoken language of French, as it was felt English was homogenising the music industry, we need to be clear about our own intentions. Is it about the preservation of language, our cultural heritage, or the preservation of our music industry in general? And I believe that both are intrinsically linked, because original music recorded here in Ireland and written here in Ireland is part of our cultural heritage as well, and should be preserved and should be given the airtime it deserves.
May I get